Hi guys, Oakii here with Newtype Challenge 2 coming very soon. I've been practicing hard and rebuilding my decks just like you guys. During my testing, I came across a few great tips that could bring out the best in the cards you have on field or in hand. Keeping these in mind could make all the difference between winning a mirror matchup or flipping the tempo in your advantage. I will also set up gameplay demos to make things more intuitive for you. Let's get right into it. Tip number 1. Play unpredictably and stagger your plays. When I first started the game, I will eagerly count all my resources at the beginning of each turn and deploy everything I can right away. The mistake: playing all units, pilots, and command cards from hand, then attacking. This is predictable and gives your opponent plenty of heads up on how to counter you. However, we can take this to the next level by being completely unpredictable. The trick is to stagger your plays and attacks. Attack with a unit, play an action card, attack with another unit, play a unit, etc. This forces your opponent to react to a constant shifting board state and makes it harder for them to anticipate your end of turn position. Next, let's get into the demo so I can explain this to you guys a little better. This was a real scenario in one of my games. I had a white Gundam already deployed the previous turn. In this game state, I technically would lose because of the opponent's blockers. However, we can try to trick the opponent into a false sense of security by purposely deploying red Gundam first, then attacking with the white Gundam. While this won't work 100% of the time, this could signal to the opponent that you don't have a link and they cannot attack this turn. The opponent chose not to block the attack to save their blockers for other plays, but I linked the pilot to the red Gundam right after, giving it high maneuver. This allowed me to attack their last shield and win a losing game. For the best effect, you can even pretend to be playing a predictable pattern and then suddenly switch it up in the late game. Tip number 2. Practice the art of baiting. As TCG players, we're often looking to get the most value out of each card. However, making a seemingly unoptimized move could bait the opponent into a state of vulnerability. The trick: as a control player, sometimes it is better to let a unit go undefended or take a small loss to bait your opponent into making a move you want them to make. For example, forcing them to attack a certain unit or spend their action or command cards prematurely. Let's go into the demo. For example, this is a seemingly bad trade as you'll have to expend another unit to finish off the ale strike. If the opponent has unforeseen in hand, they might wait until your second unit attacks to catch you off guard. However, making the first bad trade allows us to put the opponent in a state where they have no counterplay. If you count up the resources, I used 2 for Striker Pack and 1 for Gun Tank, and traded with 5 resources for Ale Strike and Kira. This ended up being worth it in the end. Oakii wants to thank you for watching all the way until here. If you're new to the channel, I do content on everything Gundam, including Gundam card game, Gunpla, and more. If you love Gundam like me, please consider subscribing. On to tip number 3. Be patient with aggro, but not too patient. When playing aggro decks like Xeon Rush, more often than not, I find myself attacking as soon as I have the opportunity to, and end up giving my opponent chances to counterattack. After playing and testing a bunch of aggro decks, I've improved my win rate drastically by holding my attacks until a strong link comes out, or a potent favorable swing turn comes through. Even with an aggressive deck, don't just swing brainlessly. Wait for a strong link unit or command card that allows for a massive multi-shield break in one turn. Aggression is about calculated bursts, not continuous, inefficient taps. Let's move on to the demo. In this case, with a number of resources in hand, I can either deploy a Gundam with Ammo Ray, or I could deploy 3 little units. I decided to deploy the Gundam and Ammo Ray thinking that I can win this round, and go in so I can destroy all of their shields at once. By deploying the Gundam and Ammo Ray, I decided to rest their Ale Strike. At first, I went in with my gun tank, but they decided to block it with the Phantom 00. Afterwards, I decided to hit their shields with my white Gundam. It burst them a pilot! Since I want to win the game, I hit them with the Zaku 2 next. Oh no, it's a base! In this case, even though I hit them with my Gundam next, I realized I can kill off their base, but I cannot win the game. We couldn't kill them this turn and ended up giving them a pilot. The tip here is that if the opponent has multiple shields and blockers on the field, and you're not confident that you can finish them off in one turn, you should leave all your units as active and wait for one big offense. Let's try this again. This time, instead of spending all my resources for the kill, I will play all my little grunts and pass it back to them. 1, 2, and 3. The opponent then leaves 2 of their blockers active and attacks 1 of my shields. Aww, my shield resolved! Now back to my turn. Since all of my units are active, they can't do anything to change my field. Now I can go in for the deadly swings. In this case, even though they have blockers on the field, they were unable to block all my units. It's Atherin! Even though the last shield ended up being a base, I was able to use my resources during this new round to deploy a Gundam and an aggro ray. This allows me to destroy their base with 1 swing. Tip number 4. Targeted hand size and trash check. Some of you may already be doing this, but I find myself always forgetting to do this when things get intense. Since control often relies on expensive command cards, always check your opponent's hand size and resources before attacking. If they have 2 to 3 resources open and a full hand, assume they have a strong command, like unforeseen incident, and structure attacks to bait it out using a less important unit. When both players are low on shields, this is especially important to know when to defend an attack. If the opponent has 3 or less cards in their hand in the late game, the chances of them having a linked unit is drastically lower. You should also be keeping track of which units and pilots the opponent has already trashed. If the opponent deploys a Kashatra on turn 8 while they already lost 2 to 3 Maritas, you can bet against the odds and save your blockers or command cards for other units. Tip number 5. Predicting opponent's plays based on color. This one's a bit more advanced. Oftentimes in the early game, you may find yourself not knowing your opponent's deck colors. For example, if they have a blue-white or green-white deck, they will most likely start with their blockers. On the other hand, if your opponent has a green-blue or red-blue deck, they will most likely be deploying all their small units early game. This could cause you to overextend and make plays that don't scale well into the mid-game. As soon as you figured out the second color of their deck, you can start predicting the possible plays the opponent can make at each level. For example, level 4 for blue usually means RX-78 plus Admiral, and level 5 for white means Ailstrike plus Akira. These are cards on pilot that can greatly manipulate the field state and take down your powerful cards. Keeping the power spikes of your opponent's decks in mind helps you know when to push for tempo or when to hold back. For example, if you know Ailstrike could be coming to bounce your high-cost units, you can choose to leave only damaged units on the field to force them into making a hard choice. Knowing how your deck goes into each color matchup can be super helpful in controlling the game state and predicting your opponent's hand. Of course, always remember to practice against your own deck. Tip number 6. Attack shields strategically, low to high. The mistake that many people make is that they randomly attack the enemy player, always swinging with their biggest, most powerful unit first. The tip is, when attacking enemy shields, start with your lowest AP unit first and work your way up. This way, if you hit a base card on a shield, you can use your strongest, potentially linked unit for the final, more crucial shield-breaking attack. Next, let's move on to the demonstration. In this example, we got too excited and attacked with a Gundam right away. The shield hit a base and this prevents us from finishing the game this turn, as it has too much HP for our little dudes. The right way to do this would be to start with your weakest units. After triggering their base, you can then use your strongest units to finish it off with 1 strike and go for game. If you've already known this tip, I'm sure you've been around the block and is a great Gundam pilot. Yay, last strike! Tip number 7. Know the timer. If you're like me, you'll always find yourself forgetting the clock when things get intense during tournaments. I've had multiple games where I went to overtime and it completely messed up my plans when I was about to go for a game. Currently, the official rules for time as set by Bandai is the following. If time expires during the first player's turn, play 3 additional turns. Start with current as turn 0. If time expires during the second player's turn, play 2 additional turns. Start with current as turn 0. If neither player has won at the end of extra turns, the player with the highest number of shield area cards, base plus shield, wins. If tied, the player with the higher number of cards remaining in their deck wins. If still tied, both players lose. Double game loss. During an important tournament like Newtype Challenge or Regional, please be aware of the time left during a match. If the time is running out, you should plan ahead 3 turns. You should also be aware if your opponent is purposely slow playing in order to steal the win. Some people can be nasty and steal the win from you just by default time conditions, even if you could have won. Okay, pro tip. Remember to bring some snacks and water. These are all the tips I have for you guys. If you're already applying any of these tips, you truly are a super pilot. I hope this was helpful and will be part of your winning strategy in the upcoming tournaments. Thank you guys so much for watching the whole video and I appreciate you. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of the video and if you want to see more content like this. Oakii excited to play alongside you guys and I cannot wait to hear about your successes. Best of luck, pilots! Oakii taking off!